Inside the High School Huddle on Hot 93.7 FM and streaming worldwide on GuthrieSportsPage.com. The High School Huddle will take you where you want to go with coaches, players, your phone calls, texts, and tweets. Join the Huddle and let's talk high school sports with your hosts, Chris Evans, Casey Porter, and Phil Nichols.
It is state championship week here on the High School Huddle. So glad to have you on board. Hot 93.7 FM KSBI. We are presented by F&M Bank, and we are set for some state championship football games. Some teams are semifinals. We're going to talk all about that here tonight as we have a spectacular show for you tonight. We'll have the Cushing head football coach, Barrett Shupe, as well as the head football coach for the John Marshall Bears and former Oklahoma State Cowboy, Rashaun Woods, as they get set for a big matchup with Jones. Cushing takes on Plainview. We're going to dive into it here in just a little bit. Bring in my partners here tonight. They join me each and every week, Casey Porter and Phil Nichols, and it is fun week of high school football.
You talk about it, and let me start the show out by saying congratulations to my good buddy at Morrison, Corey Bales. He is in the semifinals again.
Heck of a deal.
And in Class A to make the semifinals. Well, how many good teams didn't this year?
Well,
you know, I mean, locally you can talk about Crescent, Cash, and teams that were just outstanding. Did not make the semifinals. Morrison did again. And again, it's Hominy and Afton on the other side of that bracket. They have to play each other, and Morrison obviously a very difficult challenge this week. Congratulations to Corey Bales. And locally also, you mentioned him here a minute ago. We'll be talking to him in about 10 minutes. The Cushing head coach, Barrett Shupe, what a job he's done at Cushing. What a feat they have this week. With Plainview out of Ardmore, serious athletes that they're going to face this weekend. They are in the semifinals. It's Plainview and Cushing in 3A on one side, and the other side, wow. How about the matchup between John Marshall and Jones? You're talking about two teams that average right about 50 points a game. I mean, that's going to be a wild game, and 3A is very exciting. And then we saw Coach Ben and I went down and saw Johnny Bazell defeat Lawton Mack last weekend. So it's Lawton Mack and McGinnis for the 5A state title this week.
Carl Albert.
Okay, yeah, Carl Albert beat Mack. I don't even know what I just said, but Lawton Mack and Carl Albert played, and Carl Albert defeated Mack. So now it's McGinnis and Carl Albert, which will be a great 5A game. And then the 6A game, we still have our Norman Northwest side team still competing for that gold ball, trying to bring it to the west side of the state of Oklahoma in 6A.
And that breaks down our show. That's every game.
I
don't know what we're going to talk about.
Gotta go. No, and I think of course, we didn't talk about 6A Division II, and Bixby, being there. I think that's an opportunity to be a three-peat, 3 straight state titles after waiting so many years to get that first gold ball. It seems like they're going to have to just keep building.
Who's on the other side of that?
Cases over there. I believe it's a little old school from Lawton, isn't it?
You picked them to make the finals, didn't you?
Well, somebody did. Don't think it was me.
Who was it then?
It was probably you.
Was that Chris?
Guarantee it wasn't Lawton me picking.
It wasn't.
Lawton's in the state championship game with an 8-4 record. It's unbelievable. But
who's going to win that? Who's going to win that finals game?
We'll get to that here in just a little bit. Here in a little bit, we got plenty of Class 3A football as we mentioned. Our Coach Shupe and Coach Woods will join us. We'll talk a lot of Class 3A football throughout the show, but and that's the semifinal games during this week. But just go over some semifinal games before we get into some of the state championship games. In Class B, first, Laverne 13-0, defending state champion, taking on Davenport 13-0. That's a semifinal game. That's probably your true state championship type game.
That's going to be the toughest test of the year for the Bulldogs over there in Lincoln County, Davenport. And I think I'm with you. If they get through that game, I think that's going to be a gold ball for Davenport. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, that game's being played up in Enid. The other semifinal, Class B, is Depew 11-2 taking on Shattuck, who's 11-1. That only loss for Shattuck came against Laverne, and Depew and Shattuck are playing in Newcastle.
It's just kind of it's counterintuitive to count Shattuck out.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Geez, you talk about the tradition.
It's dominant over there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you say that, with one eye open and one eye closed, because, I mean, common sense, I think, would tell you that Davenport would win that game if it's a Davenport-Shattuck final. But at the same time, man, who in the world am I to ever doubt what Shattuck can do in a state title game and this weekend in a state semifinal game.
Well, and we've talked about this, over the years we've done TV and radio together, Chris and Casey, is certain programs you just expect to win, and I mean Shattuck's obviously one of those programs. It's you go into every ball game assuming you're going to win. That's how you're raised. You win every ball game.
You know who had a good year this year was Sealing. We talked about them several times this year. They bowed out last weekend, I do believe, but they had a great season.
There's some really good football teams that aren't playing.
Western Oklahoma was a lot better at all classes this year, and I enjoy seeing that.
And 5A, how about us? We're a bunch of District 2 boys. We're just sour-mouthed in our district all year. Wake up at the end of the year, who's playing for the gold ball? Yeah, 2 5A 2 teams.
We'll get to 5A in a minute, but we thought 5A1 was the district this year.
Yeah, the 5A finals is Deer Creek and who? No?
Come on. Come on. I don't even like you saying finals in Deer Creek.
Deer Creek's been in basketball season.
Okay. They've been in basketball together
for about 2 months. And look at Class A football. And when the brackets came out finally, we said that Morrison couldn't be in a better spot of the bracket because of all the 4 teams on the other side. Hominy, Afton, there's Cashin was over there, and Minko. All 4 on the same side. Those are the top 4 in Class A, according to some rankings. But Morrison on the other side. But Hominy, as expected, comes out, and they will take on Afton. Both teams are 12-0. That game will be played at Owasso. And the other Class A semifinal game features Morrison 11-2 taking on Wynnewood 10-3. That game's being played at Del City.
Yeah, Wynnewood took down Crescent a week ago, and then Afton took down Cashin all the way over there in the northeastern part of the state. I think Afton's probably about 15-20 miles from Miami, Oklahoma, where NEO is at. So that was quite a drive over there for Cashin. It was a great game. I think it was a 1 or 2 point game at half, and then Afton, I think, won by about 3 points. I don't have the scores in front of me, but it was a great game all the way through. That Class A, we've been talking about it all year. And another surprise is Heritage Hall bowed out in the 4A ranks. That was something that none of us saw coming. So that's the one class that none of us are still in the running for getting the state champion correct.
I like to say I thought that might happen, but
and we'll get.
How much does it cost to go to Heritage Hall?
$187,000 a year.
I thought it was a week.
Well, it could be.
You're going through all your 4A notes. We haven't got to 4A.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
All right. And there is a Class 4A meeting that everyone is very, very familiar. We'll get to that here in a little bit.
But would we all agree that the Class A, to me, Class A and Class 3A throughout the entire year has been the most intriguing as far as having 4 to 5 teams that I don't think anybody can decipher who's going to win through it.
6A Division 2's right there, guys. As far as
I don't disagree. I think
I agree with you, but boy, they're right there.
And I think in Class A, I think you have Hominy. Who, in my opinion, is a class above everybody else. I hate to say that with a bunch of Morrison people listening. I don't mean that in any kind of...
Doesn't mean they won't win it.
Doesn't mean they won't win it, but when you have Mike Hudson's boy, who's a Division I recruit, Xavion, I can't remember his last name, but Mike Hudson obviously was a secondary member for OSU in the 80s. His boy... playing for Cashin, going to Tulsa, has committed to Tulsa, and they're very senior laden. They have about 15 or actually, I think I know the exact number. They have 16 seniors.
That's crazy.
Now let me say that again.
For that
Class A, Class A school. There's some Class A schools that don't have 16 players.
Well, many years we don't have 16 seniors here.
They have 16 seniors. Try that on for some.
That's crazy.
Now try to beat that as a Class A team. Good luck, Coach Bales.
Yeah,
I mean that's just that's a tough deal.
So that is Morrison Wynnewood, Class A semifinal. The other one, Hominy and Afton. Hominy and Afton should be a good one. Both teams again 12-0. Being played up in Owasso.
Can anybody name the most famous football player to come out of Wynnewood?
I can. All-American.
Play a little football at OU, I believe.
Yes.
Maybe a running back?
Yeah.
Chicago Bears?
Yeah, he had a parody made after him named You Spin Me right.
Every move
he used to always spin.
That's a circle button, I do believe, right? Spin.
Pretty darn good little football player.
He was a good football player. Can you imagine him at that class?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Real quick, Class 2A football, the matchups are set. It is 12-0 Millwood taking on 12-1 Adair. Adair, of course, the defending state champions. That game will be played in Jinx on Friday night, while Chisholm, the Longhorns, we've had their head coach on here. They're 13-0, taking on Victory Christian, who's 12-1. That game's played in Stillwater, so it's a short trip for the Chisholm.
Speaking of Millwood, and that's where Coach Rashaun Woods played his high school football. Not just Coach.
All the Woods.
Yeah, all the Woods. The oldest Woods that most people don't know. That I think we'll talk to Coach Rashaun Woods here in a minute. I think he'd be the first one to tell you that the Woods that knows the most about football, I think it's probably the oldest one, Gary Woods, that many people don't know about because he wasn't the one that played at OSU. But when you talk about all the Woods coming through Millwood, and it's fun for me to see a Millwood. We've seen these inner city schools. Now, Millwood and John Marshall a little different, but, we've seen, the Capitol Hills in the southeast and John Marshall in 1990. It was the fall of 1995, so it'd be the graduating class of 1996. You're familiar with them, with
Justin Matthews.
Yeah, Justin Matthews and all those guys. Joe Adkins. Between football and basketball went undefeated. Both teams did. And then for a long period of time, John Marshall was nowhere to be found in the high school scene. Then they broke into two schools. Now they're 3A again. And now the coach, Rashaun Woods. It's fun for me to see that John Marshall program reviving itself, and then Millwood's always been good, so I enjoy watching those schools have success.
What's fun to me is watching somebody, a local kid, obviously he's a man now, but a young man like Rashaun Woods and his brothers, his entire family. It's really they're legends of the sport in the state of Oklahoma. Come back and devote their lives to kids like they're all doing is an impressive thing. And the people that win in that are the kids. I mean, gosh, God.
And my point is, and he may disagree with me, he may not, because I'm not in his situation, but it's not like he went to, he probably could have had his pick of where he wanted to go. Rashaun Woods, we're talking about. It's not like he went to Jinx and just was shooting fish in a barrel, winning state titles. I mean, he went to a place in John Marshall that needed him.
No, this is his program.
Yes, for those kids, he has just absolutely done the world for him.
And great for high school football as a whole in the state of Oklahoma. I mean, those kind of stories, boy, we need more and more young people like that back here getting in the profession and helping these kids.
They're legit, boys.
No, there's no doubt.
Yeah, well, I can tell you 1995 they were legit too, because you had Reggie Tate quarterback, Justin Matthews running the football. You had Sean Love, Willie Grissom catching the football. Then they transitioned over to the basketball side of things.
Good Lord.
They were
criminal. And I communicated trying to get a hold of Coach Woods. Our communication guy, Coach Bennett, is very good friends with Sean Love, of course. For a lot of Guthrie people that don't know, Coach Love, who was a receiver at OSU with Willie Grissom at the same time in the mid-'90s to late '90s. Coach Love grew up in Guthrie till about 5th or 6th grade and then moved over into the city area. So there's a lot of people in Guthrie that are good friends with Sean Love. And just communicating with them, I was telling Coach Bennett earlier today, what an awesome dude. I mean, the message back was, hello, Coach Porter, what can I do? It was just like
first class.
You can totally get why their program has done what it's done, because they're not just first-class coaches, not first-class football players. They are incredible people.
Yeah.
And that is the Class 2A. So we've gone over Class B, A, and 2A semifinals. And we're going to take a break here in a minute, and we're going to talk a lot of Class 3A football with our two guests tonight. But coming up after the short break, we're going to talk with head football coach of the Cushing Tigers. What a turnaround job he has done there in Barrett, Shupe. And then
wins everywhere he goes, right?
Yeah, we'll talk a little 6A, 5A, 4A football in between after Coach Shupe, and then we'll talk to Coach Rashaun Woods. So we got a packed, big show here in a small amount of time. We can go on for 3 hours, but we got to cram it in here in the next 45 minutes. We'll do it. We'll try our best. But we're going to take our opening timeout. When we come back, we talk with Cushing head football coach Barrett Shupe. This is the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank.
Welcome back to the High School Huddle. Join the huddle yourself and let us know your thoughts by calling our toll-free number at 1-800-897-3678. Don't have time to call? Send us a text at 405-973-8645 or simply tweet us by using the hashtag OKHSHuddle. Now let's get back in the huddle and talk high school sports.
It is the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank here on a Thursday night. So glad to have you on board. It is state championship week, And for the other half of the teams, it is semifinal football, and it's a great week of high school football. All these teams that we're talking about getting to practice over Thanksgiving break, and one of those teams, including the Cushing Tigers, taking on Plainview. Game being played in Oklahoma City at Western Heights High School. And we bring in the head football coach of the Cushing Tigers, Coach Barrett Shupe. Coach, first off, congratulations on advancing to the semifinals and getting to practice on Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks for having me, first of all, and I appreciate it, and we're excited, and we feel fortunate to be in this situation.
Coach Shupe, of course, you came over from Newkirk, and when you arrived at Cushing wasn't winning a whole lot of football games. What was it that you were able to establish to turn this program around?
I think just the biggest deal is we wanted a cultural change to happen, but it was about how we go to work every day. And are you willing to work and get better? And quite frankly, are you tired of getting your butts kicked?
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And the kids have bought in. Great administration, great community, and we're blessed. And we've turned it around.
Coach Shupe, one thing that I think of when I think of Cushing kids, I think of really good athletes, but then I think of really, really tough kids. When you look at what you've been able to do offensively, obviously you run the ball extremely well with all of your misdirection and all of your, what I think you guys call them over there, yo backs, and most people would call them H backs, and the way that you run the ball. 38 points a game, 380 yards a game, 250 yards on the ground. You have the state's fifth leading rusher and Corey Wiley. So you've used that athletic ability that Cushing, that community, will dish out every year, plus the discipline and the toughness to really create an offense that's been really good for you.
Oh, no doubt. We feel fortunate. We've got good kids and they're tough. And, when we got here, we embraced the rest of the program, and we got some athletes out of the basketball gym and combined them, and we feel like we've got a toughness and athleticism that works well together. So we're very fortunate. We've got great kids. We've got a great coaching staff, in my opinion, with assistants, and we can't wait to go play Friday night.
And if you look at the basketball program, of course, football's been good. It's been kind of spotty, hit and miss. It reminds you a lot of what the OSU football program's been throughout the years. There's been some good teams, but there's never really been that elongated stretch that you're really putting together throughout the years. But if you look at what Cushing can do, just look at basketball and how excited, and the wrestling programs, and what Coach Elder was able to do with the girls basketball, winning all those state titles. So it's a community that can get support behind it and go on a long run.
Oh, no doubt. They've had tremendous success in multiple sports, and we promote multiple sport athletes here at Cushing. That's from the direction of our athletic director, Coach Patterson, who's a Hall of Famer in the wrestling community. But it's a great community. We feel fortunate. We're the first to go to the playoffs 6 years in a row in the football program, and we feel fortunate. This is our second run out of 3 years, and it's a great place to work. We've got new facilities, and it's an exciting time.
Hey, Coach, Phil here. Talking a little bit about, Chris, when we brought it in, talking about getting the opportunity to practice on Thanksgiving. That's a great experience, and those kids that have gotten to do it, that's something they'll remember the rest of their lives. Walk us through kind of the preparation, if you will. I'm obviously not going to share any details, but just the process of practicing on Thanksgiving and getting ready for the big game.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's one of the goals that you set and you talk about early in the year of, hey, ultimate goal, get to the playoffs. If we have a chance to win a district championship, if we do that, we give ourselves a chance to practice on Thanksgiving. And the kids buy into that. And I got to do it once as a player, and I still think about it. Now I've got to do it twice as a coach, and it's exciting. We had this senior group and junior group, obviously, they've done it twice now in their careers, and it's just something that's really, really special.
Coach, talk about some of your personnel. Obviously, your quarterback's outstanding. Holder Reed, he's completing 60% of his passes. He's 7th in passing in 3A with 2,062 yards. Your running back is 5th in rushing in 3A, Corey Wiley, and with 229 attempts, well over 1,000 yards. So just talk about the balance you've been able to create, and then talk about your individuals that's made it go.
Yeah, I think our offensive staff and Coach Bullock and Coach Carmen do a tremendous job with a game plan that allows our kids to show off their talents. Our offensive line comes off the ball. We're not the biggest, so we utilize the misdirection with the pulling and trying to get numbers in certain spots. And obviously, Cade's had a tremendous year. He stepped in at quarterback, and Wiley and Yates at running back, and Trevor Ailey, and then our receivers in England Honeybus and Trey Morris have had big years. And it's really an offense that's based on taking what the defense will give you, and that's really what we focus in on, and we make adjustments on the fly, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Speaking with Cushing head football coach Barrett Shupe here on the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank. The Tigers have won 10 consecutive ball games, including an impressive 18-point victory over Cushing, 31-13. Now, Coach Shupe, you move on to play Plainview, who had an impressive win, 1-point win over Lincoln Christian. I saw a little bit about that game. Tell us what you think about Plainview.
I think the first thing that jumps out is they're well coached. Coach Price and those guys do a great job, and to me, they're extremely fast, and they're fast on film, they're fast in person, and they can run. They were state track champs last year in the spring, and their quarterback grade is as good of a football player as we've seen. He's really good on offense, and he's also really good at defense. And then I feel like their O-line's good. I feel like their defense runs the ball well. They definitely are deserving of being in the Final Four. They're a tremendous football team, and we have a heck of a challenge in front of us.
When you talk about the Ardmore area, we saw that the Ardmore High School in 5A this week got beat in a very difficult game last weekend against Bishop McGuinness in a game that they really had won till Rubel Go took a touchdown back on a kickoff. But when you talk about that Ardmore area, there is no community in Oklahoma, especially that size, that has produced better athletes than that area. And both Ardmore and Plainview this year loaded again.
Oh, I would agree. Just a tremendous community and tremendous schools, and when you see them anywhere in whatever sport it is, they have great support, and their kids play hard and do it the right way, and we're excited to go play them and represent our community hopefully in the same manner.
Coach, I know you mentioned that you got new facilities. That's very exciting. That always plays a factor in generating excitement for your community to add to a winning team. Talk about all the people that you want to thank that made all of that happen for getting those facilities in place for your kids.
Well, the first one is the community for what they voted in as a bond. And we benefited. We had some extra money left over, so then the credit has to go to our administration and Mr. Knight and Mrs. Amon in the central office, and then our principal, Mr. Lowerman, and then Coach Patterson for having a vision for our football facility. And we got a weight room out of the deal that about a 4,000 square foot weight room for every athlete at Cushing High School. And then the turf was an awesome project too, donated by Continental Concrete. Kevin and Kelly Holderreed donated the dirt work, and then for it and the base, and then we got the newest field turf they had at the time. The Patriots and the Seahawks are using the same stuff, so we feel very fortunate. We feel like we have the best as far as facilities go, and you're right, the excitement's great, not only from the kids but the community. There's a lot of pride in what we've got, and every team that's come in has really talked well about the facilities and the turf, and we feel really fortunate and blessed, and I promise you I'm not taking it for granted. I grew up in Newkirk, and I love that place, but when you get facilities like this, you don't take them for granted.
And Phil, I got to say, if you've been to some wrestling tournaments in their new gym, one of the most beautiful gyms. But if you've ever been to their old round gym, that's one of the coolest places on earth to watch.
It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing? It is so cool, isn't it?
Well, I think, Coach, I know we're going to let you go here because you got to talking about that community and the fun and all the activity. I think you got a bonfire to go to tonight.
Sir.
Oh, yeah. We're excited. We got a bonfire right there on campus, and the town's excited, and everyone's honking their horn, getting ready for this thing. So I'm excited, and we appreciate the coverage, and hope some people come out and support us on Friday night.
Well, Coach, my dad worked at Escott's there on the east side of Cushing for about 25 years, and we can all three say, well, I can say at least, I'm sure my partners here, Chris Evans, Phil Nichols, will agree with me. We are all rooting for the Cushing Tigers this weekend.
Absolutely.
Hands down, we will be following it, and just absolutely best of luck.
Well, hey, thank you, guys. We appreciate the coverage and the support.
Go get them, Coach.
Thanks.
That's the head coach of the Cushing Tigers, Coach Barrett Shupe, as they travel to Oklahoma City Western Heights, take on Plainview in the Class 3A semifinal. And, of course, that interview right here on the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank.
I hear two things in his voice. One, obviously, excitement.
Oh, man.
Being in the semifinals. But you know what else I hear? Excitement's a short-term thing.
What I hear. He's having fun.
And he's happy.
He's happy, man.
How happy
Yeah,
is he
there's
with
no
the community?
doubt.
It's a
There's no
perfect
doubt.
fit, isn't it?
Yeah, there's
I
no
mean, it's
doubt.
a perfect fit that he is in Cushing, a
Yeah.
place that you could
Yeah.
obviously tell he loves being.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Cushing, obviously, with all the new stuff they have going on, loves having the energy. I mean, that when we first talked to him 7 or 8 years ago in Newkirk, we were like, wow, this guy has energy.
He just
and it
wins.
just radiates over to everybody else, doesn't it?
And he wins everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a winner.
Perfect
He's a
fit.
winner.
Perfect
no, there's
fit.
no doubt.
I've never actually met him in person, but it's one of those when you talk to him. This is like the third or fourth time
Your
you talk
energy
to
level
him,
goes up.
It's just like, does he
Yeah.
really get after
I
players?
need to go play right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So good luck to the Cushing Tigers. And here in a little bit, we're going to talk some more 3A football when we have head football coach for John Marshall and former Oklahoma State Cowboy Rashaun Woods join us here at the bottom of the show. Let's move on quickly to some state championship games. All games are Friday at neutral sites, of course, 7 o'clock, and Bedlam will not be a conflict at all for any high school football game, so that's a cool thing.
There's a Bedlams this week?
I think so. Class C championship game, Pond Creek Hunter and Tipton. That game being played at Southwestern Oklahoma State in Weatherford.
We have all picked Pond Creek Hunter.
Yeah, we have.
And we're
Riding that horse.
Here it goes.
Ride him on out.
Here it goes. Well, woo, Tipton, goodness. God.
I know.
That's going to be a game, isn't it?
Oh, there's no
Tipton
doubt.
Tigers, correct? They've been good for a long, long time.
Anybody driving over to Weatherford to watch that?
I'm sure somebody in Weatherford will.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a haul over it.
good
I'm
luck
not allowed out past dark anymore. So
Yeah.
I get lost.
Class 4A football for the third straight year. Wagner 13-0 and Ulagal 12-1 meet in the 4A state championship.
Unreal.
Move on.
That game's being played in Broken Arrow. Wagner in mid-October defeated Ulagal 17-7. So Wagner trying to beat Ulagal twice, this time for the gold ball again.
What Wagner?
They got it going, man.
got it going
Yeah.
on.
I don't remember as a kid ever hearing it. Maybe
Nope.
they were.
Me neither.
I mean, it seems like it's been the last 10 years.
Well, I think, Wagner's a lot like, to be quite frank, a lot like Guthrie.
They're down kind of southeastern Oklahoma,
Yeah.
right? The team I always heard about was Hugo.
Yeah.
Aren't they a little bit further north?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
I think so. I think they're up in the Tulsa area.
Yeah, I think around Muskogee area.
Yeah,
Are they around the Muskogee area?
Muskogee, Okmulgee, yeah. So that is your Class 4A matchup. Class 5. Let's leave 5A for last.
He does this to us all the time.
Let's real quick go to Class 6A. That is the Norman North Timberwolves 12-0 taking on Tulsa Union, who's 10-2. They play at the University of Tulsa. Norman North in Norman in mid-October took down Tulsa Union 30-27, and the west side of the state is holding their breath.
Yep. Well, not surprising that Tulsa Union beat Jinx, right?
Whoa, it surprised me. I mean,
Well,
What was
they
the
did it.
score? Golly,
Yeah,
I mean, it was a knockdown takeout. I mean,
it was a
it wasn't real clever.
It was a mugging.
Which in my you see a lot, especially see a lot in baseball. When a team scores a bunch of runs one day, the next day they're liable to score zero. You see how many times you see that. So if you're on the west side and you're rooting for Norman North like I am, are you guys rooting for Norman North?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're hoping for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stoops brothers, our juniors over there.
That's going to be an intriguing game.
Norman North has been not only good but dominant for a good part of the season.
Am I really going to root for a team that resides in Norman, Oklahoma?
Well, I am, by golly.
For a few,
I am too.
It's okay for a few hours.
It's either that or we're going to have to go steal a gold ball and bring it over here. Well,
Now, we
somebody's
do
gotta
have
get a gold
loyal,
ball.
we learned the other day, we do have loyal listeners that are big OU fans, obviously.
Yeah.
We cover this area, so.
I mean, we love them.
So
too.
sorry, but I'm a huge OSU fan.
I was in a meeting.
You'll have to deal with that quirk, right?
I was in a meeting today with the client and had a bunch of employees in, and somebody said, well, can I call you Saturday? So you can call me right after OSU gets done winning the game. That wasn't good. I didn't realize I had about 75% Boomer Sooner in the room. But, hey, I love them anyway.
Well, if you're traveling, of course, you can tune in right here on Hot 93.7 and listen to the Game Day Live and then the pregame.
Listen to OSU
got it all.
play Rogers State last night right here on Hot.
Come on
Rogers
now.
State was competitive all the way through that thing.
Rogers State's a good basketball team.
Mitchell Solomon was playing with emotions, is how they
It was intensity. He was dunking and feeling good. It was too bad an exhibition game, but he was definitely excited.
No, it was not an exhibition game.
Rogers State it was.
No. For them it was?
Yes, it was for them. Yeah.
Not for Oklahoma State. So it can be an exhibition for one team but not the other?
Apparently so, because
one
Rogers.
team's division.
Okay,
too,
are we
yeah.
done talking about OSU Rogers? That was my bad, guys.
Well, you
My
brought us
fault.
down this
So
rabbit
again,
trail.
Norman North, Tulsa Union. That game's on KWTV Channel 9 or Channel 6 up in Tulsa, KOTV. That game's also streamed.
Which one?
In Tulsa. In the Oklahoma City area, it's Channel 9. Dean Blevins, John Holcomb, and Steve McGehee with the
Does Fox not have the rights to all those?
Nope.
Not anymore?
Griffin Communications got it this year.
Now, that starts with the semifinals, correct?
No, that's what the final. Well, yeah. No, I mean, they didn't.
They usually don't
broadcast
broadcast, but they have the rights to it, so nobody else can.
Yeah, right. So that is the 6A Division 1 game. The 6A Division 2 game is Lawton 8-4 taking on Bixby 9-3. That is on News Now 53, and that's the 6A2 title game in Yukon.
I think I've had Bixby for a while.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, I think they
if
should
you're going to
win
pick
this
somebody
game.
other than Bixby, you're doing. You had Muskogee, didn't you? No. Yes.
Still goes back and forth.
Okay.
I mean, Muskogee's out, so I'm back on Bixby.
Yeah.
It's like Dayton. I mean, when one leaves you got to go find another
Here's
one.
my
I
deal.
can't remember who I picked to be in the finals of 5.
Oh, I remember who
of 6A.
It
I
wasn't
remember
Bixby because you got mad at me for picking
yeah,
Bixby.
absolutely.
No. To win it.
You
Yeah.
picked Lawton.
Yes, I picked the finals of Bixby and Lawton.
I know.
I guarantee I never picked Lawton. The I was so excited about 6A Division 2.
What is your hang up with Lawton?
I don't know.
dude?
It's
he had a
come
bad
on,
thing
man.
I
happen
know.
down
I
there.
know. It's
Summer of
But here's what I was
98
going to say.
problem.
6A Division 2, it was week 1, week 0, all the way to, it was so exciting. Now it's a title game like, Lawton, Bixby. It doesn't really do a whole lot.
Well,
It does nothing for me. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shoot, guys, it'll probably turn out to be the best game of all of them.
Could be, yeah.
Well,
You know, I mean, who
I'll have
knows,
to take
but-
your word for it because I'm not gonna watch it.
But I think there's a great story there though with Bixby.
It is.
Going for 3 in a row, and like I said earlier, they got so close so many times getting a gold ball, finished second so many times, and now they just keep winning them.
And
so I
here-
think it's a great story.
Why is that a great story?
Well, I think it's great
What makes that
perseverance when this kids just kept going, program kept going, kept working.
Well,
3 straight state titles. That's a hell
To
of
me,
an
it's the rich
accomplishment.
getting richer, which
Well,
I guess is okay.
How's that rich? How are they getting rich?
Well, because they're in that area that's just exploding with people.
but you're looking at geographic. He's looking at it as if it was all 6A1 football.
Oh,
they
okay,
would not.
okay.
They would not
Yeah,
be in
that's what I'm
this, in this
saying.
I
scenario.
gotcha.
No, I think it's good. Like we've talked, it's good for high school football.
And Lawton, on the other side of Bixby, has been there to the semifinals when it was 32 teams in 6, and they just couldn't get over that hump to get to the championship game. But here they are. So this is a big game. A lot of years of frustration they're looking to take out.
Yeah.
See, I am all messed up when it comes to Lawton because my whole childhood through my high school days, when I thought of Lawton, I thought Lawton Ike. They were the team in Lawton, and now both Lawton and Lawton Mac are better than Lawton. I think Lawton Ike is going to improve vastly now that they're in 5A. In the next couple of years, because that's a
Do
community.
you see Ike going into that number 2 slot and Lawton going to the 3 slot? Ultimately,
Boy, I don't know enough, but I'm just saying it's just odd for me to see. Ike was always a team I thought of that the best athletes in Lawton went to.
this is what I always think. When
Now
I hear
it's Mac.
Lawton, I assume we're getting ready to play some athletes.
No doubt.
That's the
Kinda like,
assumption.
well,
I
it
have.
reminds you of what we talked about with Coach Shupe. If you're playing Plainview or Ardmore, get ready to play an athletic team.
absolutely.
I mean, just every
Absolutely.
year.
When I think of with Lawton Ike coming down to 5A, the thing is Lawton MacArthur going to keep all the athletes. There's even out a little
That's
bit.
what I'm saying. I think in the
question.
next 4 or 5 years, I think Phil has a valid point here that I think they're in my opinion, they're going to try to keep one team state championship caliber, and I think they're going to try to make 2 teams state championship caliber like they have this year. And I'm afraid in 6A, Lawton may slide, which would mean those 2 teams would be Lawton Ike and Lawton Mac in 5A.
Yeah.
Now, we're just talking. We don't know what we're
But
talking
that's
about.
logic.
But
It's logical.
It's
I mean,
logical.
that's logical.
Yeah.
Everyone does that. We just got microphones.
Correct. And I don't even know if
I
they,
did this for 47 years to drive around.
I don't
the
even
car by
know what their
myself.
enrollment policies are, so
Right,
we're just talking just to
Sure,
talk. You know?
sure. Okay, so Lawton Bixby, because everyone's hope. Okay, Norman North Tulsa Union. Is everyone hoping Norman North wins, or are they?
I think they are gonna
Tulsa.
win.
I think Norman North will win. I think they're the better football
That's your
team.
pick.
I think they're going to win.
Okay, I'm going with Norman North as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Norman North as well.
think I just
We've already
jinxed the boys.
we went with Wagner in
Nice.
4A, and we went
Yeah.
with Pond Creek Hunter in Class C.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
We got to disagree sometimes. So
Well, and they're in the semifinals, but I already know who I think is going to win Class A.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that moves us down to Class 5A football. By the way, this is a high school huddle presented by F&M Bank. Here on our next segment, we will be talking with John Marshall and former John Marshall head football coach and former Oklahoma State All-American Rashaun Woods coming up after.
He's still open, by the way.
Yes, he is. Still 2002 in Stillwater.
I love that game.
Yeah.
You and I went to that game together, did we not?
Oh, yeah.
And then we went and did a Morrison game
Correct.
in Choctaw. They were playing Tipton. Or they were playing
He can
Tipton.
remember the most
No, they were playing
Walika.
the Coma brothers. Walika.
Walika.
I don't know if it's Graham Walika. If that's two different. I think Graham and Walika came together to make the same school.
I don't know. Okay, Class 5A football. It is 5A District 2. McGinnis 12-1, Carl Albert 12-1. That game will be on KSBI 52 and on News on 6 in Tulsa.
Who's the player of the year, Phil?
Hold on, we'll get there.
Okay.
This game, McGinnis and Carl Albert will be at Central Oklahoma's Watland Stadium. Go back early October 4th, I believe it was. Bishop McGinnis won this game 38-10. Carl Albert didn't play their best game. Irish was able to run it up and down the field, but McGinnis, remember, lost their first game of the year to Dale City. Had a lot of injuries. Carl Albert only lost coming to McGinnis.
This will be a similar type game.
And both had exciting, exciting semifinal
This will
games.
be a similar type game. This is a bad matchup for Carl Albert.
Well, Chris and I were on the phone earlier this morning talking about this, going back and forth. I've thought about this game. I've prayed about this game. I've done everything you can imagine.
It's a bad matchup for Carl Albert. I think. What do you think, TBJ?
I think when you get right down to it, Casey, bottom line is I think McGinnis has a better football team. I think they have more
complete.
Talent. Yeah, more complete. I think they have more talent. I think they play extremely well as a unit. Very well coached. We all know that.
Watching Carl Albert, it's a two-man show.
I think it is.
Offensively. Am I wrong,
Yeah.
TBJ? I mean, it is.
They got the running back.
What?
They got Bazille and Diego Richards.
Yeah, but it's mainly Bazell and Diego. Their running back's a good player. But
He's young.
Yeah, he's young.
But, man, I'm telling you.
But just look at the guys. Look at that. But how many running backs does McGinnis have? You see what I'm
Yeah,
getting?
well, what I'm saying is, I think the way that Lott Mack played defense was a good matchup for Carl Albert.
Yeah.
I think the way that McGinnis plays defense is an equally bad matchup for Carl
Well,
Albert.
we had a bird's eye view of both these teams on the bad end for Guthrie against both these ball clubs this year, and I can tell you that it's quite simple for me who I think the better football team is.
I think it comes down to Bishop McGinnis' ability to run the football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
They've got 3 or 4 guys that can go get it.
See, I think Carl Albert runs the ball better than McGinnis.
Oh, I don't.
And I think that the difference is Rubel Go, Matt Chancellor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you run, suck them in, then you got Rubel Go, and
Who I think's the
Chancellor.
best player.
But here's my point. I think even when McGinnis is not running the football the way that they want to run it, and you're able to bracket Rubel Go or Matt Chandler, they still complete passes.
Well, I mean,
you can't stop it.
Guys, he's the best player in 5A.
Rubel Go?
Yes.
Better than Johnny Bazell?
Yes.
I'm going to wait to make up my mind till after this game.
I'll take him 7 days a week, twice on
You can
Sunday.
tell we cover 5A.
Go is my player of the year.
I'll take him.
Yeah. I you can't disagree.
It's an absolute
What he did
stud.
last week to Ardmore returning that kick,
He's
that
just a
what did they
stud.
throw it backwards?
Well,
yeah.
back we picked it up.
Yeah.
But he didn't even play defense until this year, and he has more than 10. I can't remember.
Well, I'm just telling you right now, where's he going to play at the
doubled
next level?
The interceptions. He has 10 or more. I can't remember.
To me he is an H back, like OSU would call him cowboy back. I
Yeah.
don't think he has the foot speed to play on the outside. And
How heavy is he?
Well, I don't think it's his weight.
No, I'm just asking how heavy.
I would say he's probably 210. Yeah, I think the size. I'd say 6'2".
See, I think the kid could play on the defensive side of the ball too.
I don't think he has the quickness.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he can.
And what I'm saying is I think he's, the Blake Jarwin role this year that OSU has, I think that's Rubel Go at the next level. I think that if he finds an offense system that runs an H-back like that, I think he could play that role at the next level.
It will definitely be interesting. So, Class 5A football game, again, being played at UCLA's Watland Stadium. That place doesn't excite me.
That does nothing for you. See, of course, I always struggle not to say Central State, but that dates me.
So Phil and I, a couple weeks ago, had Lawton MacArthur win it. Obviously, we have to change our pick. Casey has gone with the Irish.
He has.
Day one, the playoff brackets.
Well, the way he's
came out.
talking tonight sounds like he's changing his pick.
So, well,
I'm saying.
that's called good radio. Who are you going with, Case?
I've already said it's a terrible matchup for Carl Albert. I think it's going to be a similar tight game as it was at the beginning. I think it'll be probably a 30 to 14, something like that game. I just think it's a bad matchup.
I think it's going to be McGinnis. I do not think it's going to be that big of a spread. I think it's going to be a closer ball game than that. But
what's changed?
I think it's just later in the season. Yeah. I think you give Gary Rose a full year to install a new offense, do the things he does. I mean, he's only won 4,872 state
he's not
titles.
Bad. 10 state titles he's going for this year.
Yeah. He understands kind of how to win.
I think this is number 11 he's going for.
Has he won 10? I thought he won 9 going for 10. Yeah.
Okay.
I may be wrong, but I thought
it was 10, but 9 or 10. But I think he's undefeated in both of them, right? Well, I mean, he hasn't lost a state championship game before, right?
I don't think he has.
Yeah,
I think he has. So he's 9-0 or 10-0 in state title games, But bottom line, first of all, first-class guy, great football coach. Mm-hmm. I just think the athletes at McGinnis are too much. And let's be honest, guys, coaching staff at McGinnis can flat out coach.
Lord have mercy.
I mean, we all know Coach Rose is a Hall of Famer, but the young man at McGinnis, he's working towards a Hall of Fame.
We got to wrap this up, but the biggest X factor is the schedule that the McGinnis kids have. They get to dedicate a lot of time to X's and O's. And you're talking about world-class intelligence.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Not that Carl Albert doesn't have extremely smart kids, but you can't compete with the amount of intelligence that's in the huddle for McGinnis, and I think that greatly helps them.
And I want to say this, Chris. I know we got to go. Both programs, classy programs.
No doubt. Yep. Unbelievably
They play with class. Everything they do is with class. So we have great representation in 5A.
Before we go to break, I know you're picking McGinnis to win.
Yeah.
Who are you rooting for?
Carl Albert.
Sorry,
bro.
I had to put you on the spot there, brother.
My first rule in games, if they're from a community, that's who I'm going for.
Yeah.
I have
that eliminates both of them.
I have a private school and I have a
open transfer rule.
That eliminates both of them.
I have been waiting all week to come to this show to make my pick. I've been wanting to pick Carl Albert, trying to find a way to pick Carl Albert. Try.
There's an X factor here.
And now I can't go there. I have to stay with McGinnis.
There's an X factor. I'll tell you about it after the show, Phil. There's an X factor working here.
It's gonna be a fun game, guys.
It's called ratings.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game.
It will be a fun game. I think McGinnis running game and then going over the top.
Yeah.
And then the Irish have to stop Bazell, and I think they have a good shot at doing that.
But would we agree?
You're saying exactly what I said.
Is the player of the year? Who's the player of the year for you? I know
whoever wins the game.
He said that before. I think that's an interesting perspective. I think they're that close.
Yeah.
In your opinion, I think that's.
I can't disagree.
Both kids are great football players.
With that, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, it's the former All-American from Oklahoma State and now a head football coach.
Is it ever a former All-American?
Yeah, All-American, not current.
He's an All-American.
He's an All-American. Okay. Rashaun Woods joins us after this timeout. This is the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank.
Tweet us by using the hashtag OKHSHuddle. Now let's get back in the huddle and talk high school sports.
It is the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank, coming to you from Stacy's Place in beautiful downtown Guthrie. Chris Evans, Casey Porter, Phil Nichols with you as we bring on our next guest. Here is All-American Oklahoma State wide receiver and now the head football coach of the John Marshall Bears. The Bears in the state semifinals in Class 3A football. They've taken on those Jones Longhorns 13-0. We bring in the head football coach of John Marshall, Coach Rashaun Woods. Coach, as always, we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, it's Bedlam week and it's semifinal week. It doesn't get any better than this, does it?
No, it doesn't, man. It's been hard to sleep because of excitement of competition and getting after it. So,
well, Coach, looking at your team, obviously you guys have been dominant all year. You average very close to 50 points a game. You have the state's not 3A leading rusher, the entire state of Oklahoma leading rusher, and Devontae Lee, who averages, get this, almost 18 yards a carry. You guys have been dominant. Talk about your team this year, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it encompasses the entire, offense. I mean, we got really good receivers outside, a quarterback that can throw it, an offensive line that's big and physical. And so when you have all those things, they have to honor what you can do as far as throwing the ball, but then at the same time, they have to decide they're going to commit everybody to stop the run. And so what ends up happening is anytime you get them halfway with the ability of Devontae Lee running the ball, they're just in a bind. And because we're multifaceted offensively, we can just really, just really just pick your poison offensively.
Coach, we talked a little bit on the opening of this show, and I know you have a coach in Coach Sean Love that is very close to the situation at John Marshall. But back in the mid-'90s, the graduates of '96, the fall of '95, the football and basketball teams went undefeated at John Marshall. They were a powerhouse back in what was then back in Class 5A. Have you embraced the history and how good that school has been throughout the years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, back then, they were definitely really good. I can remember playing against them myself when I was in high school. But, I mean, there's been a period in there where, John Marshall Athletics, has not really been at the forefront, actually a long period. I mean, this is a great opportunity to kind of, exhibit the pride of John Marshall again, being at 21 years since we've been this far in the playoffs in football. So it's a great opportunity, and at the same time, we're definitely thankful to be a part of a school, or a part of a tradition where at one point John Marshall was extremely dominant in a lot of facets of athletics.
What were you able to bring in mindset to change the mindset of the players?
It started with the guys that I was able to bring in. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, but it was important to bring in the right coaching staff and then a plan, and so, the overall plan and then the coaches to help execute that plan as far as the way a program is supposed to be. Having guys that have played at a Division I or NFL level before, goes a long way in doing things the right way. And then once the kids are in a system like that, they already had some talent and stuff, but they didn't know how to play. So once we were able to teach them how to play, and we had a strong commitment over the summer, doing the correct weight program, lifting the right way. It took some time, but it ended up turning things around for the better, and here we are. Now one of the better programs, and hopefully at the end of the year, it'll be the best program in 3A.
Hey, Coach, we started talking earlier before we came on the air, and you alluded to it a little bit right there. Your coaching staff, I say it's got to be the most accomplished coaching staff as players. And the way you guys are going as coaches that's ever been assembled in the state of Oklahoma. But talk a little bit about the dynamic. I know you work with your brothers, and just talk about that. I mean, that's such an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, and getting to coaching was hard. I got to be honest with you. When you're coming in the city and trying to convince guys to come in and work with kids, which they may have some may have a bad rep, or they may hear people say maybe negative things about them, and be able to go sift through enough guys. I mean, believe it or not, I asked a ton of guys who qualified to be good coaches to coach, but ended up coming down to a couple of guys that finally said yeah and came out, and they ended up being some really good ones. And so when they come out and they've been a part, they've been around programs like this and kids, and they get a chance to get around them and see that, hey, these kids are eager to learn. They can be successful around here, and once we established that, it really, really took off. The kids really bought in, and it's so important to have guys like that.
Coach, you mentioned going, back to the city-type school like John Marshall. We talked about it earlier. With your playing career and all the things that you've done, with all the people you can bring in as coaches, with NFL guys like you have, you could have shot fish in a barrel and went to a program that would have been an automatic gold ball. You did not. You chose to go back to a city-type school and rebuild. Was that something that was important to you?
Honestly, when I took the job, I didn't really have a lot of offers on the table. To believe it or not, a lot of people weren't knocking on my door for me to come coach their team. And so, I took, a guy that was an administrator here at John Marshall saw my resume on the desk in downtown, and thought that, hey, this would be, let me see if the call to see if he'd be interested in John Marshall. And so, I didn't interview for the job, but he saw my resume and gave me a call, and it was like, hey, man, I know we're not doing really well. We haven't won any games, but, you think that you might be interested in doing this. And then I thought about it and was like, man, I know it's going to be some hard work and everything like that, but I took a leap of faith, and it ended up working out. For a couple of years into it, we became a winning program, and then from there, we've sent probably more kids there's no doubt about it. We've sent more kids in Oklahoma City public schools on football scholarships than all the other public schools combined in the last couple of years. So, it's been a tremendous
accomplishment for our program and organization. And for me, I really feel thankful and fired up at the same time that, hey, man, these guys are good enough. The same streets that I came from, same area that I come from, and these guys have the ability and talent, and it just warms my heart to be able to see them go out and have success night in and game out, and not only on the field but also in the classroom, and have a chance to go and play possible Division I, Division II, NAIA ball on scholarship.
Everything happens for a reason. I think we found out that that resume came in at a good time for you and for John Marshall. Speaking with head football coach Rashaun Woods, I think might need a new doorbell after this season. But coming off a victory over Stigler, 71-44. I thought it was a basketball score there for a second. But taking on a ball club in Jones, coach, 13-0. They have been good for several years. They're trying to get over that hump. You got a tall challenge come tomorrow night.
Yeah, Jones is a big-time program. I mean, Coach Martin over there has been doing what I've started doing for a long time. I mean, he's been a staple and ball over there, and he's been tremendous for those kids, and he has a tremendous amount of talent. Those guys are past the fact they're bought in. The tradition of Jones is winning year in and year out, and so they're here again. Last year they lost, and obviously I know they want to get a victory against us, but, I mean, Coach Martin just does a tremendous job, and those guys are talented. It's going to be a tall task. I mean, that's not I'm not going to kid you here and think they can come out and just say, hey, this is something that we should be able to breeze or be able to win. I mean, this is going to be a battle, and it could go either way any given night, in my opinion.
Well, Coach, I know we've talked about the X's and O's of your team. I know you're a very, very proud alum of the Millwood Falcons, and they're still in the playoffs. I know you're very proud of them, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, man. Coach Franklin over there is doing a tremendous job. They have a good coaching staff there, and they have an immense amount of talent, as they always do. And, of course, talent is just not enough. I mean, those guys are disciplined, and they do a good job, and they represent my alma mater extremely well.
Coach, one of the things I'm sitting here, I'm listening to, all three of us sitting here interviewing tonight, we're dads and all have boys, as a matter of fact. And when I hear you talk, I hear a young man that's passionate about what he's doing. And it's in this not just for the football, but you're really touching these young men's lives. And just as a father and a sports fan in the state of Oklahoma, I just want to tell you, I'm really proud of what you're doing over there.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And, my whole deal on it is, a lot of kids come to me and they want to go to school. Coach, am I good enough to go and play at the next level? Yeah. I never tell them that they can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, but what I make sure I always tell them, and I try to do this in my own life too, is we don't discuss if they're good enough. We discuss what it takes to be good enough, and if they're willing to do that part of it, then they'll always be good enough. And then if they're not, they'll be tremendous individuals.
That's great.
And so that's always been my way that I talk to them. Never putting them down or anything like that. But if they're willing to put in the work, it doesn't matter how tall they are, how fast they are. But they're just going to be better people. Even if they fall short, they're going to be a better human being, a high-character guy that, they'll be able to bounce back if they're not good enough and be successful in college. If they are good enough, then they will have a chance to realize their dreams. So that's my deal, man. I mean, that's what I'm about. I try to help the kids, in all shapes and form of life, man, be successful and have a chance to play and realize their dreams and be successful.
How about that response, Phil?
Well, I mean, it's sincere. It's sincere. That's what it's all about. And Casey here, Coach. Casey's a lifelong educator and coach. He's a head baseball coach here at Guthrie. I'm sure you may or may not know that, and works with the football program as well, and is just a player's coach. I'm looking at Casey, and I can tell how much respect he has for what you just said.
Hey, on a lighter note, awesome. Coach, I got to ask you, you get to coach with two of your other brothers, and Donovan and Gary, and I've heard you talk before. Who's the best fisherman out of the whole group?
Without question, is me. I take fishing pretty seriously. I think if I get any extra money, I'm usually putting it into my boat, into my tackle and stuff like that. They like to go with me every now and then. My brother's actually into like striper and hybrid and all that stuff, but. I'm mostly into largemouth. I like fishing bass tournaments and stuff and getting after it. And actually, even though it's cold right now, when the season's over, whenever it is over for me, I'm going to be getting on the boat, getting after it, trying to catch a couple fish. So,
Coach, you know what kind
I'm
of
all
fish?
about it.
You know what kind of fish I like, Coach?
Say what?
You know what kind of fish I like?
What's that?
The kind you can eat.
Oh yeah. You a crappie man and a catfish and perch man. Sound like to me.
I'll eat about anything, Coach.
Yeah, if you saw the video of this, you would probably agree that we like fish.
Oh yeah.
Speaking with head football coach John Marshall, Rashaun Woods here on the High School Huddle, presented by F&M Bank. So he can coach, he can play football, he can coach football.
He's still open.
He can fish,
and
he does a little bit of radio work as well, and I think he might be a little busy with Bedlam this week.
And he can catch touchdown passes against OU.
He's still open.
Yes, he's still open.
Oh yeah.
Talk some smack, Coach. I grew up in Stillwater. I love it. Talk some smack, Coach. Rashaun Woods, the John Marshall coach. What an awesome dude. Obviously, that you've heard him talk, and it's a pretty awesome deal that he's done there at John Marshall. Coach, appreciate you coming on the High School Huddle, and absolute best of luck. I know you guys are averaging almost 50 points a game, so is Jones. It's going to be an awesome spectacle.
Oh yeah, it will be, man. And like I said, it's going to be two really good, disciplined football teams as well as talented going against each other tomorrow. So come out and hope and wear something blue because we need all the fans we can get.
Go get that W, Coach.
Do you have a Bedlam pick, or are you leaving that one for later?
Bedlam. Well, of course, I'm hoping the Cowboys go ahead and come out with a victory, but we'll see. I mean, I think the defense is gonna be the difference, obviously, in the game, and that's a good thing for Oklahoma State, I think. But of course, OU can do a lot of things on offense. So that's a whole nother story for probably Saturday.
Coach, best of luck tomorrow night, and we'll talk to you over the weekend.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Head coach of the John Marshall Bears, Coach Rashaun Woods, All-American for Oklahoma State football.
Awesome.
Awesome guy.
Awesome.
You can just tell. Awesome guy.
Obviously,
great coach.
Phil, you hit it. I mean, just his passion for young men and the way that he can touch them and explaining to them what needs to be done, not to be a great football player, to be a great person.
To be a good
and you know who he has to, and he'll hear you if you hear him talk about this. I know we have to get out of here. You know who he will credit for the type of person, not just him, but all of his brothers or his parents. I mean, if you've ever heard him talk about his mother and his father, I mean, he will go on for hours
good stuff
about how awesome the people they are, and you can tell.
Oh, yeah. First-class guy.
Any dad that teaches his kid to love fishing, did it the right way,
Pretty
right?
good guy.
Fastest show of the year.
Yeah, no doubt.
It goes by fast every
That's
year.
it?
Yeah, that's it. We got to come back next week and talk state championship games
Cushing.
again.
I don't want to go home.
Cushing.
I'm a little bit scared.
We
Go
gotta
Cushing.
talk. So, best of luck to all the teams out there.
Go
More
Cushing.
luck to
Go Morrison.
Cushing
Go Morrison.
and Morrison tomorrow night as well.
Go Cowboys.
Go Chisholm, right?
Go
A
Chisholm.
lot of Friday night football, and then Bedlam on Saturday, right here on Hot 93.7 FM. KSBI is where you need to be.
And
Rex gets it all started, and then the network takes over, and then the post-game show, and then back on Game Day Live at Eskimo Joe's all on Saturday.
And go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Kentrell Brothers playing tonight. Minnesota Vikings against
Go Cowboys.
Dallas
The
Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys.
that
For
a
my
wrap?
partners, that is a wrap. For my partners, Phil Nichols,
Who are you
Casey
rooting for
Porter,
Saturday?
I'm Chris Evans. This has been the High School Huddle presented by F&M Bank.
Oklahoma. Huddle up. The High School Huddle on Hot 93.7 FM and streaming worldwide on GuthrieSportsPage.com.